Karen, the loyal computer wife of Plankton, or is she? Karen, the selfless traitor trying to backstab everyone, but how? Karen, the mastermind able to dominate all of Bikini Bottom. All these questions will be answered in the Karen Domination series. In the show SpongeBob, there have been many times Karen and Plankton attempt to steal the Krabby Patty formula, and we've seen so many of their plans fail in many episodes of the show, but sometimes we see moments where they have gotten so close to stealing the formula, like in the episode Plankton, as we see Plankton and Karen for the first time, and we see how close that they get. As if Plankton didn't desire to need the Krabby Patty, they would have definitely gotten it.
Oh boy.
Or in the episode Imitation Krabs, where Plankton is pretending to be Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob thinks that this phony robotic version of Mr. Krabs is actually him, as he almost gives him the formula. So there have been many times where Plankton and Karen have tried to steal the formula, but they've had no success. It feels that there is a trend in their many attempts to steal the formula. They get so close just to have something get in the way and ruin their plans. But how, after so many attempts that they haven't been able to steal the formula, even when everything is in their favor. And I have a feeling from the start of making the series of why the two haven't been able to get the formula. Karen has always helped Plankton and thinking of many of their master plans herself. Like in the season 3 episode, The Algae's Always Greener, as she thinks of a plan that wouldn't fail. In the episode, she tells Plankton to use a machine that lets someone change lives with another person, and Plankton uses it to switch himself and Mr. Krabs' lives, so he could get the Krabby Patty formula without any problems. But I noticed something odd when he becomes Mr. Krabs. Everything feels the same, but it feels in this episode that all of the characters are a little bit more annoying, if you could say.
Soiled it! Soiled it!
Okay,
Soiled
Daddy,
it!
I've decided I'm gonna run away.
Make it stop!
Soiled it! Victory screech!
And the next day... It's not worth it! It's just not worth it! Goodbye, everyone. Remember you all in therapy.
See what I mean? Plankton is just frightened by the thought of Mr. Krabs and annoyed of everything, so he just leaves. And I really thought that was weird because I don't think Plankton would just leave the formula if he could just quickly grab it. And in another episode, Single Cell Anniversary, Plankton forgets that it's his and Karen's anniversary and he forgets to get her a present. So she gets mad. We find out that she has the Krabby Patty formula and will give it to him if he gives her a good gift. In the end of the episode, she loves the gift so much that she cries so much, releasing real tears, and she ends up breaking her system and losing the formula in the process. This episode stands out because we see how easily Karen could get the formula. As we see in the episode, she just stood in line to get it. It kind of shows that it's easy for her to get the formula. But if you look closer in the episode, we see Karen put the formula in a bottle. But what's weird is that we don't see it again, and now it's embedded into Karen's system. But shouldn't there still be a formula in the bottle? And I believe this is an continuity error. And in episodes like this, it feels like she doesn't want Plankton to get the formula. Like if we go back to The Algae's Always Greener, it seems like this altered, more annoying world could be created by Karen, as Karen made this machine and may explain why this world is more annoying. Ensuring Plankton would leave and makes it seem Karen doesn't want Plankton to get the formula. If I put it this way, what if she's sabotaging him? So it may just seem like these are coincidences, but there's actually a lot of evidence that shows that Karen is secretly sabotaging Plankton. In the episode For Hero to Go, we see that Mr. Krabs is hosting a contest to see who could guess the amount of sesame seeds in a jar, and Plankton gets it correct, and as a reward he gets a free Krabby Patty. But Mr. Krabs makes a rule that he has to eat the Krabby Patty in the Krusty Krab. So Plankton does so, but when he goes back to Karen to get the formula synthesized from the Krabby Patty he ate, it comes out wrong, having the taste of...
The patty tastes like stomach acid!
Tastes like aspirin and carrots! Ah!
But then Karen says this.
Oh, come on, Karen, what happened?
I just did what you asked. I analyzed the contents of your stomach and used them to synthesize a Krabby Patty.
But in this clip, it feels like Karen is acting arrogant, and she could have simply gotten their patties to taste correct, with all the advanced technology like the analyzer used in the episode Plankton.
How do you like my analyzer? It tells the ingredients of whatever I put into it.
Which analyzed all the ingredients and could easily be used again to get the formula without the taste of Plankton's stomach. And this shows that Karen is sabotaging Plankton, or is making sure he can't get the formula. And in many episodes like Sweet and Sour Squid,
Karen! Help!
where he calls for Karen but doesn't come and help him, or in Jailbreak,
File!
What? The file? Well, I'm glad you're not the baker in the family. The file? Who would put a file in a cake?
Karen, you've got to get me out of here!
and we see Karen not helping Plankton break out of jail, even when he tells her to, and she pretends not to know what he's talking about with the file to help him escape from jail. But there is an episode where there's undenying evidence that Karen is sabotaging Plankton. In the Season 8 Winter Special, Frozen Face Off, we see most of Bikini Bottom partake in a winter sled race, and we even see Karen and Plankton. Later in the episode, it is shown that Plankton sent a robotic decoy of himself as everyone is away at the race, including Mr. Krabs. And while everyone figures out Plankton isn't there, Karen tells them that he's out to steal the formula.
In fact, this whole race was a plot devised by Plankton. With the entire town distracted, he's free to pursue the Krabby Patty formula undetected.
They head back, and in the end, they get the formula back from Plankton, but this episode shows that Karen doesn't want Plankton to get the formula, clearly sabotaging Plankton, as she could have not told them or made up a lie so that Plankton could steal the formula. But in the very same episode, I noticed something off about Mr. Krabs and the formula itself. So I noticed something weird when Plankton tries to open the safe. Many times we see the safe securing the formula being broken into with ease, as a bomb could open it. But in this episode, we see Plankton with many attempts to open the safe to no success. A ton of dynamite, a flamethrower, and plenty of other things. But the only thing that could open it is an atom bomb.
I bet! Yeah. Molecule by molecule! Atom by atom! Uh-oh.
Which is almost equivalent to a nuclear bomb, which shows how much Mr. Krabs is willing to keep his formula safe. But why, this episode, out of all the others, is he using a safe would not be broken into without something as strong as a nuclear bomb? And also, when Karen hints that Plankton is stealing the formula to Mr. Krabs, he is shocked.
Oh, the formula! We gotta get back to Bikini Bottom!
But later, he doesn't seem so worried.
What? And where's me formula?
Perhaps over there?
The chum bucket? Now serving Krabby Patties!
We're too late!
We'll see about that, boyo!
So Mr. Krabs shows that he isn't so worried, as he seems he already knew that Plankton had the formula. And I feel Mr. Krabs knew Plankton was coming, but how? And I have a feeling Mr. Krabs has some inside knowledge, and if it isn't already obvious, I think Mr. Krabs and Karen are working together. There are many times in the show's history where we see Mr. Krabs outsmart Plankton, and Karen, as his accomplice, could explain many instances throughout the show. And some evidence throughout the show that supports Karen and Mr. Krabs have some history is in the episode Mermaid Man vs. SpongeBob, where we see Mr. Krabs and Karen talking to each other and laughing.
Karen?
And then the season 2 episode Imitation Krabs, we see Plankton wear a robotic Mr. Krabs suit, and SpongeBob mistakes Plankton for Mr. Krabs, as Plankton tries to get SpongeBob to tell him the formula, but what SpongeBob makes Plankton do is weird at best. Standing on one foot, spaghetti dinner. This feels like something SpongeBob made up on the spot. I have a feeling that Mr. Krabs knew that Plankton would come in as a robotic version of himself, and told SpongeBob that someone would come in and try and get the formula, and to create some dumb handshake, but this plan from Mr. Krabs backfires. SpongeBob mistakes Plankton for Mr. Krabs and shows that Karen has to do something. As at the end of the episode, we see a coin on the ground, and SpongeBob inserts it to the self-destruct slot, and Karen calls the self-destruct mode.
Self-destruct coin slot has been activated. 10 seconds till detonation.
Coin-operated self-destruct. Not one of my better ideas.
This feels like a last attempt to stop Plankton from getting the formula. It seems Karen could have easily stopped the destruct button. To be honest, I didn't really think at first that they were actually working together, but the more episodes I watch, I notice how this could explain so much. Like in the episode Plankton's Army, we see many of Plankton's family members come to town in which Mr. Krabs is unaware of them, and they plan to steal the formula. As they do so, and they successfully get into his office and get a formula, but what's inside is something weird. Inside, the ingredients like
The secret recipe for one Krabby Patty is a pinch of salt, 3 teaspoons of chopped onion, a cup of love, mixed together with the most important ingredient of all, 4 heaping pounds of freshly ground plankton?
Yes, Plankton. But at the end of the episode, it is shown that this is a false formula.
Mr. Krabs, is this really the secret ingredient for the Krabby Patty?
Of course not. And Plankton will probably figure that out and be back again to find out what the real formula is. But don't worry, boys. The formula's safe from harm.
But I wondered why switch the formula was a fake one, if he didn't even know that Plankton would actually get the formula. If Mr. Krabs was working with Karen, he must have been told to create this, or else how would he know to replace the formula? And earlier in the episode, we see Karen know about their plans to steal the formula.
Bottom line, we invade the Krusty Krab so I can steal the secret formula. What do you think?
I realized, how did the two of them talk to each other? And I noticed something in the episode New Leaf, and could explain a lot. In the season 5 episode, we see Mr. Krabs opening a closet of Plankton's inventions, and we see something familiar.
Nobody's getting to see anything.
Did you see it? In the closet, we see imitation crabs. But if we remember back to the imitation crabs episode, we see it being destroyed. But why would Mr. Krabs have another one if it was destroyed? And then I realized that if in the last imitation crabs we heard Karen's voice inside of it,
Self-destruct coin slot has been activated. 10 seconds till detonation.
he could talk to Karen, and we see lots of recording equipment inside the closet. So maybe this could show that Karen communicates with Mr. Krabs with all of the items locked inside of this closet. If you still don't believe me, then let's look at the season 11 episode Bottle Burglars. In this episode, we see SpongeBob and Squidward accidentally throw away the formula while cleaning Mr. Krabs' office, and Plankton stumbles along it and takes it as his own. And there's a timer on this formula, and it will only open when the timer is over. So Plankton locks it in his own safe, and at the end of the episode, SpongeBob and Squidward tell Mr. Krabs that they lost the formula. So Mr. Krabs goes to get the formula back, but look what happens.
Then I'll just have to steal it back.
If this doesn't show that Mr. Krabs has some inside information, then I don't know what does. How did he just reach in there and know that the formula was there? But I have one last piece of evidence to show that they're working together. So in the episode Plankton Retires, we see Mr. Krabs trying to fool Plankton by leaving a Krabby Patty before a delivery. But look what happens when Plankton and Karen try and synthesize the Krabby Patty.
And the Krabby Patty is made of urchin.
Did you notice anything?
Krabby Patty is made of urchin.
If you see the main screen of Karen, we see Mr. Krabs, but how can he connect to it, which only means he had access to it, meaning that both of them can talk to each other. So, in Alex Bale's television series, he explains that Sandy helps make the show with the creators of SpongeBob.
Hello, French narrator speaking.
Hey, Frenchie, it's me, Sandy.
Ah, Sandy Cheeks. How is it hanging?
And some of the characters are not even aware of the show being filmed. And we have seen Mr. Krabs in episodes such as Truth or Square have cameras around the characters' houses, and we also see people filming the show inside of this room.
But who are they?
So I believe Mr. Krabs is in on the television series, and also Sandy is definitely being paid, or else how would she pay for anything throughout the show? Because she doesn't really have a normal job, and Mr. Krabs would definitely do this for a quick buck. But why do I bring any of this up? Well, I think Karen is in on this and has a massive
meme is, dude, it is still massive.
Yeah.
Massive. I mean, I'm seeing like new ones that I've never seen before.
Role in the television series, and maybe the biggest and major role also. So, we know Mr. Krabs has cameras, and I really believe that Mr. Krabs and Karen are working together. So, it wouldn't be a stretch that Karen would also be a part of the SpongeBob TV show. And in episodes like Patnocchio and the Big Bad Bubble Bass, we see Karen telling stories of Bikini Bottom as she breaks the fourth wall talking to the camera. And this shows that Karen has some sort of connection with being a part of the SpongeBob show creators. If we think about the show like this, it shows why Karen would sabotage Plankton in the most humiliating ways. Because if she was a part of the SpongeBob show, then she would want the show to be as entertaining as it could be, so she could be an important asset to the show. And this could explain many things throughout the show. But if you don't believe me, look at the episode Plankton's Regular. We see Karen pay a fish to eat at the chum bucket so Plankton doesn't feel miserable. But where does she get all of this money? As we see large amounts of money being given to this fish. Like an amount that shows that she is rich, but the chum bucket never gets any money. And if Karen has this job, then she must be being paid from it, or else how will she be able to have this money? And it would explain how they're able to keep the chum bucket in business and how they're able to pay all the funds for the countless times chum bucket has been destroyed, or new inventions that have been created or whatnot. And could also explain how the Krusty Krab is rebuilt so many times after being destroyed, as if Mr. Krabs is in on this, and if Mr. Krabs is being paid by this, it could explain so many things throughout the show. And there's an episode that explains everything. In Friend or Foe, we see the history of how the Krabby Patty was made and the relationship between Mr. Krabs and Plankton when they were younger. But while Plankton and Mr. Krabs are telling the different sides of the story, Karen comes in and shows them what really happened, as she shows that she was recording them when they were younger. But this is weird because Karen says that she recorded this when she was a security bot.
Those days, I was just starting out as a security system. Plankton and I met when he installed me.
It was only our third date.
But why would she be recording Mr. Krabs and Plankton as kids? And this is where I believe Karen's powers come in, and may make you believe that Karen is a part of the SpongeBob TV show. So in the first 3 seasons of the show, she is shown as only in her TV form. But during the first SpongeBob movie, between seasons 3 and 4, she is shown in a mobile form. But in season 4, she isn't. But in season 5, the season Friend or Foe is in, she is. Many years before Plankton and Karen had the chum bucket. But I wondered, how would this be possible if she's in computer form in the past? But as I watched the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water, and I made a realization. In the movie, we see Karen being able to time travel.
All my processors and energy to power this time machine, so if you have anything you want to tell me, you better tell me now.
Say cheese.
Cheese.
And being the only one in Bikini Bottom to time travel as seen.
But we're going to get it. We're going to go back in time to steal the formula before it disappeared.
Time travel? Where are you going to find a computer that can do that? Wait a minute.
So I think that Karen time traveled to film this episode, as it only makes sense of how she would be able to film them if Karen didn't even know them. And if we think about Karen and the show like this, it could explain how episodes are filmed in the past and the future. And there are also different timelines shown in Sponge Out of Water, and I thought that different Karens from different timelines filmed the show. But even though I don't have much evidence for this, we have seen lots of television screens like Karen, which may be lost in time, and in this episode we have an example. In the episode Showback Shenanigans, Plankton goes to a hospital and we see this.
Karen!
Plankton mistakes a hospital computer for Karen. And by the way, I don't think Plankton knows about Karen's job and the show SpongeBob like other characters in the show. And I have one last piece of evidence showing Karen is a part of the SpongeBob TV show. In the season 13 episode, Karen's virus, we see Karen being almost drugged as she gets this virus, killing her system, and as soon as she hears SpongeBob coming through the chum bucket, hear what she says.
Hey, catchy song!
Yes, she is singing the SpongeBob SquarePants theme song, and she would only know if she knew about the SpongeBob show. But I have one more question left to answer. Why does Karen not want Plankton to get the Krabby Patty formula, and how does it lead to world domination? Well, that was actually 2 questions. My bad. So, for that first question, we have to look at the first SpongeBob movie. So, when I was making this series, I knew it was going to be about how Karen dominates Bikini Bottom, but how would she do that? But then I remembered, wait, didn't Plankton rule all of Bikini Bottom in the SpongeBob movie? So I decided to buy it. In this movie, we see Plankton using his Plan Z made by Karen, which was to steal King Neptune's crown and sell it, then blame it on Mr. Krabs. And it actually works. And I was thinking that, dang, this kind of contradicts my theory, as she gives him a plan that actually worked. But I made a realization while watching more. So maybe Karen wants Plankton to steal the formula this time, but why now and not any other time throughout the show? But what does the Krabby Patty formula lead to in this movie? So in the SpongeBob movie, we see what happens when Plankton gets the formula, and guess what happens? World domination. So yeah, I guess Plankton and Karen rule all of Bikini Bottom, but there's one problem they still have to face in the movie. Patrick and SpongeBob are still out there and they are trying to get the crown back to save Mr. Krabs and Bikini Bottom. But we all know in the end they save Mr. Krabs and all of Bikini Bottom. But what if that wasn't the case? What if I told you we've already seen this happen, but I'll get there later. But I have one question to ask. Why doesn't Plankton remember the formula? Like, can't he just remember the formula if he had gotten it already in the SpongeBob movie? Well, there have been many times we have seen Plankton actually know the formula, but why can't he remember it? And I have a strong feeling that Karen is also brainwashing Plankton, but if we think about it, it doesn't sound so far-fetched. We have seen very advanced technology in this show already. Like, if Karen can time travel, why can't we say that she brainwashed Plankton in order to keep the formula or her secret safe? Well, what if I told you we have seen Plankton's memory being what seems to be altered? In the Alex Bale video of SpongeBob Evolution series, he explains that the Krabby Patty formula is made up from Pearl's dead mother, so that Krabby Patty is made from whale. Why do I bring this up? Well, in the episode Spongiest, we see Plankton set up a coliseum, and when he is explaining what is a part of chum to a customer who asks why the food is so bad, look what he has to say.
I'm sure I've made a satisfied customer of you already.
That was appalling! What was in that?
Oh, just the usual ingredients. Some jellyfish squeezings, whale blubber, seahorse snout, and a sprinkle of anchor rust.
He says, whale blubber.
Whale blubber?
Yes, whale. So Plankton remembers parts of the formula, but you may be asking, isn't he making chum and not the Krabby Patty? But in the show, Plankton's goal is to be the best restaurant, beating Mr. Krabs, in which he copies his formula, and which he implements it with his chum, like how he does in this episode. And I think that Plankton, after a while, can remember certain things about the formula, but is brainwashed each time he has some memory of it, so Plankton can't expose her secrets and rule the world. Another example of Plankton being brainwashed is in the Plankton's Intern episode, where he forgets that Pearl is Mr. Krabs' daughter.
But I can give you the recipe.
What?
Well, he is my dad.
Eugene Krabs is your father?
But in the episode One Course Meal, 5 seasons earlier, it shows a whole episode dedicated to Plankton being scared of Pearl, which he directly points out that Pearl is Mr. Krabs' daughter.
Smells like blubber to me.
Blubber?
Daddy!
Call off your daughter, Krabs! Call her off!
And I have one more piece of evidence to ensure that Plankton is being brainwashed. In the season 14 episode PL 1413, Plankton sees Mr. Krabs put a Krabby Patty in the time capsule, and Plankton jumps in and it is closed on him, and he has to wait thousands of years till the time capsule opens again. So he goes around Bikini Bottom in the future, but he wants to go back to his original timeline. We'll see what happens at the end of the episode.
But I will need you to forget that secret formula. Hold still while I activate my memory erasing device.
Your what?
See you back at camp, Mr. Plankton.
What happened? How did I get here?
Yes, he's being clearly brainwashed by Sandy, so he can't remember the formula. But why is Sandy doing this? But this will all make sense in the last part of this series. So, the Brainwash series can explain many instances throughout the show, like how Plankton said he implemented the self-destruct slot in Imitation Krabs, and maybe how Plankton says he created Karen because he is brainwashed each time he knows something important. So, in the season 13 episode, Welcome to Binary Bottom, we see the future Bikini Bottom again, and we see all of the characters in a robotic version, but once we go to the chum bucket, look at how Karen is depicted.
Thanks, Karen, my flesh and blood wife. My flesh and blood wife.
Out of the whole episode, Karen is the only one who is a fish, and everyone else is a robot. And if you remember in the SpongeBob movie, Plankton and Karen turn everyone into robots. So maybe this timeline or universe or whatever is the one where Plankton and Karen rule all of Bikini Bottom and turn everyone into robots. But just look at Plankton in this episode.
Plankbot, you forgot to wind yourself again.
He is just a useless robot that can't do anything, and I wondered why he's in this form if he and Karen work together. And I believe if Karen has been sabotaging Plankton throughout the whole show, working behind his back with his arch nemesis, purposely putting Plankton in situations humiliating himself in front of millions of people who watch the show, then why couldn't she just betray him at the last second, dominating all of Bikini Bottom? And that is the Karen domination. Oh, wait, Sandy. Well, like I said, Sandy is brainwashing Plankton and must be working with Karen, but I think that possibly Sandy created Karen. So, I believe that Sandy, or possibly the creator of SpongeBob, made Karen, intending to do what she does, record and twist the minds of the people in Bikini Bottom, and stop Plankton from getting the formula, in which Sandy helps Karen, like how Kamp Koral Sandy brainwashes Plankton and possibly other characters, to ensure the show never ends. If you don't think Karen and Sandy have a connection, let's look at these episodes, like Girls Night Out, or that they both work for the SpongeBob show, and even Kamp Koral, where their characters have a strong relationship. So what if I told you that not everyone is a robot in the episode Welcome to Binary Bottom? In the episode, Sandy is portrayed as Sandroid, a robotic version of Sandy, but this robotic Sandy is way bigger than actual Sandy. I think that possibly Sandy is inside of it, and I think Karen and Sandy will Bikini Bottom together, because look at the lasso being swung out of Sandroid in this scene. It's like someone is on the inside of it, swirling it around. And why is it so big? And isn't some useless version of Sandy, as at the end of the episode, she's able to transform into a huge robot, combining herself with all of Bikini Bottom. So Karen and Sandy are both the masterminds of domination of Bikini Bottom, in which they are forced to film and exploit all of their quote-unquote friends, and then control them all, as they were trying to end the cycle of the SpongeBob creators, in which they exploited Sandy and Karen, using their lives to film the characters of SpongeBob. And Karen, from head of filming the show SpongeBob to domination of all of Bikini Bottom, while betraying everyone except Sandy, who has been with her through everything, that Sandy is possibly the creator of Karen, and them both working together was their end goal of reaching world domination. And that's why, at the end of the episode Binary Bottom, we see Sandy heading for land, in which the SpongeBob show creators filmed their last moments before the two heading toward freedom, in which Karen and Sandy, who must have been on this robot, planning all this out to escape Bikini Bottom, and the show was SpongeBob itself. And this is the Karen Domination series. But wait, what is this?
Welcome to Bikini Bottom at the bottom of the ocean.
This is the beginning of my movie!
Well, this was where I was planning to end this video, but as I was finishing everything, I saw this trailer. And I'm just gonna say this, my theory was correct. Well, I guess partially. Karen even says the exact name of this series, and I thought that was crazy.
I'm gonna do what you could never do. World domination.
World domination? That's my thing!
And you could even see I've had audio recording clips of me talking about the series of the Karen Domination series from like since December, which is crazy. It seems like Karen has planned all of this out, as she turns into a huge robot and is a lot stronger than we all think. And she looks to be combining herself with Bikini Bottom like how Sandy did in Welcome to Binary Bottom. But the only part that feels weird is that Sandy wants to stop Karen. Then I put an idea into my head that since this isn't the future and Sandy maybe wants to continue working with the show creators, but Karen has other ideas and wants world domination to stop the cycle. But time will tell as soon as this movie comes out to see like if parts of my series are correct or not. And probably in the next week or so I'll do an analysis video where I'll go over everything throughout this video that I've said and make sure that everyone understands it and add more onto it. Well, that's it, and this video, it took a while to make, so I suggest you like and subscribe, and thanks to Alex, Bale, and Spot for giving the inspiration of this video. But I've had this sort of idea of Karen being like the ruler of all Bikini Bottom since Sirius, Alex, Bale have kind of gone on to other things, and I'd like to continue creating SpongeBob series and other content, and which you should subscribe to my second channel, in which I'll do gaming videos and other things like that. And thanks for watching, and expect more series in the video. Bye.